Discover the latest updates in the realms of cryptocurrency, politics, technology, and beyond. Stay informed with Newssource Scrawlers edition from April 25, 2025, which provides a comprehensive daily news digest.
UBS has reduced its predictions for smartphone and PC sales, while India is gaining prominence as a leader in production. In Japan, the Nintendo Switch 2 has received over 2 million entries for the My Nintendo Store lottery sale, surpassing all forecasts. The European Union is set to introduce new labels for smartphones that indicate battery life and repairability.
As YouTube celebrates its 20th anniversary, the platform announces that more than 20 trillion videos have been uploaded. The European Union has imposed a fine of €500 million on Apple and €200 million on Meta for violating Europe's digital regulations. Kotaku has reported that there is a community of players on Roblox who are recreating school shooting scenarios.
The Chinese Coast Guard asserts its sovereign jurisdiction over Sandy Cay in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, the Kenyan president is on a visit to China, marking a shift in the country's focus away from the United States. Additionally, China's military has labeled U.S. and Japanese destroyers as enemy vessels. Delhi, India, is considering reducing the sale of gasoline-powered cars and prohibiting the sale of fuel-inefficient motorcycles in an effort to reduce its reputation as a major polluter. Chinese electric vehicles are gaining a significant edge in the Russian market due to their advanced digital cockpits, according to vendors. At the Shanghai Auto Show, German and Japanese automakers are integrating Chinese artificial intelligence technology, while Tesla is waiting for approval from Beijing to introduce its full self-driving (FSD) system. Waymo has announced that it is providing 250,000 paid robotaxi rides each week in the United States.
Lockheed Martin is developing an enhanced version of the F-35 fighter jet to rival Boeing's F-47. China has introduced a drone equipped with a quantum device designed to detect submarines in the South China Sea. Japan has revealed a railgun capable of intercepting China's hypersonic missiles.
The Indian Army has eliminated 2 gunmen in Kashmir as the search for suspects intensifies following a tourist massacre. In response to the attack in Pahalgam, India has taken several actions, including closing the main border crossing with Pakistan, suspending the Indus Water Treaty, and cancelling visas for Pakistani nationals. Earlier, a manhunt was initiated after 26 tourists were killed by suspected militants in Kashmir. Pakistan has closed its airspace to Indian Airlines and issued a warning against any violation of the Water Treaty, as relations between the two countries continue to deteriorate. Pakistan has also cautioned that any attempt to cut off the supply of the Indus River would be considered an act of war. Trump asserts that Crimea will remain under Russian control while he endeavors to conclude the conflict in Ukraine. He claims that no one is demanding Ukraine acknowledge Crimea as part of Russia and accuses Zelensky of undermining peace talks in Ukraine. Trump urges Vladimir Putin to halt the strikes on Kyiv. Russia's Foreign Minister, Lavrov, indicates that the Kremlin is prepared to negotiate a settlement with the U.S. regarding Ukraine. Axios reports that Trump's ultimate peace proposal necessitates Ukraine's acceptance of Russian occupation.
Trump stated that Israel would take the lead in a military strike against Iran if Tehran fails to abandon its nuclear weapons program. The Pentagon is evaluating a proposal to reduce thousands of U.S. troops stationed in Europe, with officials noting that only Trump has the authority to make decisions regarding U.S. troop deployments in Europe, according to the U.S. Defense Secretary. Iran has made a rare move by arresting 4 state TV employees for allegedly insulting the Sunni caliph.
Tesla is conducting a trial of its robotaxi service among its employees in Texas, California, and other parts of the United States. This initiative aims to relax the regulations surrounding self-driving vehicles, which have been criticized by Elon Musk. Slate Auto, supported by Jeff Bezos, is entering the market to compete with Tesla and Rivian by introducing a $25,000 electric truck. Uber and Volkswagen have collaborated to introduce a robotaxi service in the United States, utilizing self-driving, electric microbuses.
China supports Iran's participation in nuclear negotiations with the United States, which it describes as bullying, according to top diplomat Wang Yi. Pakistan's finance minister has stated that both China and the United States are considered critical and strategic allies by Islamabad. Just days prior to Canada's upcoming election, former U.S. President Donald Trump remarked that Canada would cease to exist without the support of the United States.
An official has mentioned the possibility of China and Russia collaborating to construct a nuclear power plant on the Moon, which would serve as an energy source for a lunar station. China has successfully launched the Shenzhou 20 spacecraft, which includes experiments with superconductors and measures to protect against space debris. Furthermore, President Trump has issued an executive order aimed at enhancing the deep-sea mining industry.
Trump criticizes Rupert Murdoch for Fox News' alleged bias and inaccurate polls following a survey showing his lowest approval ratings ever. A heated argument reportedly broke out in the West Wing between Musk and Bessent. The Trump Organization is marketing Trump 2028 merchandise, raising speculation about a potential third presidential run.
Trump rejects increasing taxes on wealthy individuals, citing concerns that many millionaires might relocate abroad. Trump plans to investigate Democratic fundraising giant ActBlue using the Department of Justice. Harvard turns to its billionaire alumni for support amidst confrontation with the White House, as Trump issues executive orders aimed at colleges and their equity initiatives.
Trump initiates investigation into truck imports, paving the way for potential tariffs. TP-Link, a manufacturer of routers, comes under scrutiny in a U.S. criminal antitrust probe. Trump expresses willingness to approve legislation prohibiting stock trading by members of Congress.
In Texas, USA, Governor Abbott has signed the first bill of the legislative session into law, establishing a Texas Doge. California has risen to become the world's fourth largest economy, overtaking Japan. The United States has allocated more than $500,000 towards YouTube advertisements aimed at deterring irregular migration. Apple faces accusations of promoting LGBT propaganda in Russia due to the inclusion of a rainbow flag wallpaper in its latest update. In the United States, the Department of Justice plans to probe physicians who offer transgender healthcare to minors, as announced by the Attorney General. The Meta Board has declared that videos criticizing transgender women do not constitute hate speech.
Trump coin experiences a significant 70% increase in value following a special dinner event organized by the president for the leading holders of the token. In a related development, regulators in the United States have decided to ease restrictions on banks engaging in cryptocurrency activities. The Securities and Exchange Commission has decided not to proceed with refiling a securities fraud case against Richard Hart, the founder of Hex.
A recent study has revealed that individuals who experience strokes have significantly elevated levels of microscopic plastics in their bodies. It has been reported that 1/3 of Malaysian children are currently overweight, a situation exacerbated by the country's growing addiction to sugar. Furthermore, there is a noticeable trend among Gen Z, where they are increasingly turning to their peers rather than medical professionals for guidance on health matters.
Trump claims that the United States and China are currently engaged in discussions regarding tariffs. However, Beijing refutes this assertion, while Trump contradicts China's statement about the absence of trade negotiations, asserting that they had a meeting this morning, and that Xi Jinping contacted him. In a Time interview, Trump outlines plans for trade and other agreements. Politico mentions that Xi Jinping is seeking an alliance with the European Union to counter Trump's aggressive trade policies. The South China Morning Post reports that a leading Swiss diplomat has urged the formation of a coalition to address the challenge posed by U.S. tariffs during a visit to China. Swissinfo notes that Switzerland and China are advocating for dialogue on tariff issues. The International Monetary Fund suggests that China should increase domestic consumption to mitigate the effects of the economic slowdown and the trade conflict with the United States.
SCMP has published a report indicating that China's affluent individuals are accumulating cash due to the current economic uncertainty, as revealed by a survey. Indeed has shared findings that suggest 51% of Generation Z believes their college degree is not worth the financial investment. The Wall Street Journal has reported that a staggering $1 trillion in wealth was generated for the 19 wealthiest households in the United States over the past year.
During a court hearing, it was disclosed that Google Gemini boasts 350 million users each month. OpenAI anticipates its revenue will surpass $125 billion by 2029, driven by the introduction of agents and new products. Yahoo is prepared to acquire the Chrome browser if Google is compelled to sell, with the browser valued at $50 billion, according to DuckDuckGo's CEO, who shared this information in court. Microsoft's 2025 Work Trend Index report highlights the emergence of the frontier firm, signaling a significant shift in workforce dynamics, as the report suggests that you will soon be overseeing a team of AI agents.
Meta has introduced live translation capabilities for all users of its Ray-Ban smart glasses. Apple plans to remove its secretive robotics division from the AI chief's responsibilities shortly after relocating Siri. Rakuten Mobile and AST Space Mobile have achieved a groundbreaking milestone by conducting the first-ever video call in Japan using a low Earth orbit satellite and standard smartphones.
China is reportedly planning to remove retaliatory tariffs on certain U.S. chip imports, indicating a potential easing of the trade conflict. Multinational companies are committing to significant investments in China, despite the ongoing tariffs and the prevailing cautious approach. A Swiss leader mentioned that the Trump administration anticipates conducting privileged discussions with 15 countries regarding U.S. tariffs.
The president of Israel has emphasized the moral imperative of rescuing hostages held in Gaza. Israel has admitted to the killing of an aid worker in a military strike, following an initial accusation against the UN of making baseless slander. In other news, Jordan has banned the Muslim Brotherhood, leading to the confiscation of their assets and offices. Palestinian officials have established a vice president position under the leadership of Mahmoud Abbas.
Japan has issued a warning regarding compromised trading accounts, with nearly $700 million in unauthorized transactions having been documented. Nintendo is taking legal action against the individual responsible for the significant Pokémon Terra leak. South Korea has reported that DeepSeek has transferred user data without obtaining their prior consent.
A significant breach occurred when over 21 million employees' screenshots were exposed from the Work Composer workplace surveillance application. An Android spyware, cleverly disguised as the Alpine Quest app, has been identified targeting devices used by the Russian military. Furthermore, Blue Shield of California inadvertently leaked the data of 4.7 million customers to Google.
Russia's central bank and finance ministry are set to introduce a cryptocurrency exchange. Coinbase is advocating for the cessation of what it terms the war on staking. Additionally, the Wall Street Journal has reported that the World Economic Forum has initiated a new investigation into its founder, Klaus Schwab.
China has instructed the United States to eliminate all one-sided tariffs if it desires to engage in discussions. Pepsi and Mountain Dew, both reliant on imported ingredients, face potential earnings damage due to tariffs, as PepsiCo has expressed. In response, China has decided to cancel 12,000 metric tons of U.S. pork shipments. The United Kingdom's finance minister, Reeves, has stated that the country will not be in a hurry to finalize a trade agreement with the United States.
Apple's attempts to relocate iPhone production away from China are encountering significant challenges. Authorities are obstructing the shipment of suppliers' equipment to other nations, as Apple seeks to produce all U.S. iPhones in India, marking a strategic shift from China. The European Commission has prohibited lobbyists from advocating for Huawei due to an ongoing corruption investigation. Companies like ByteDance, Alibaba, and Tencent are amassing billions of dollars worth of NVIDIA chips. Carnivorous caterpillars known as bone collectors use the bodies of dead animals as a form of camouflage. A study on wild bonobos shows that female bonobos collaborate to preserve their dominance within their social groups. The extinction of giant kangaroos, which weighed around 375 pounds and had restricted movement, is believed to be due to these factors.
The owner of Mashable and PCMag has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI, claiming that the company has misappropriated their content. Character.ai has introduced AvatarFX, an innovative AI video model designed to produce chatbots that appear remarkably lifelike. There has been significant controversy as it was revealed that AI technology was covertly used to assist in writing the California bar exam, leading to widespread outrage.
The Internet Watch Foundation has expressed concern about a significant increase in child sexual abuse imagery hosted within the European Union, with 62% of all such web pages identified by the IWF in 2024 being linked to the Netherlands. The Wall Street Journal reports that Paramount is in discussions with the Federal Communications Commission regarding potential concessions on diversity policies as part of a merger. Oscar voters are being reminded of the importance of actually watching the nominated films.
Artificial intelligence surpasses virus specialists in laboratory settings, heightening concerns about biohazards. Harmful effects caused by gut bacteria might contribute to the increasing incidence of colon cancer among young individuals. A recent study suggests that the enigmatic Antikythera mechanism could potentially be a toy rather than a complex device. The BBC has introduced a satellite news channel in Myanmar following President Trump's decision to silence the Voice of America. Hanoi has refuted claims that Washington will ignore the Vietnam War commemoration. The New York Times reported yesterday that the U.S. has instructed its diplomats in Vietnam to steer clear of war anniversary events. The Wall Street Journal mentioned that Hegseth has threatened to administer a polygraph test due to a leak of a classified briefing intended for Musk. Science magazine has announced that the director of the National Science Foundation is stepping down following the cancellation of grants, reductions in employment, and surrounding controversies. A recent poll indicates that a higher percentage of Trump supporters believe in a connection between autism and vaccines compared to the broader public. Furthermore, the United States Department of Agriculture has decided to pull back a proposal aimed at reducing salmonella levels in raw poultry.
Charlie Chaplin's classic film Gold Rush is set to undergo a 4K restoration, which will be premiered at the Cannes Film Festival and released worldwide exactly 100 years after its original debut in 1925. GTA 5 has emerged as the most watched game on Twitch for the year 2024. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos has expressed that the traditional movie theater model is becoming obsolete, arguing that a significant portion of the population cannot conveniently access a multiplex.
A leader from the Rwandan genocide, residing in a prestigious area of New York, has been taken into custody for suspected immigration offenses. The French Prime Minister has urged for stricter measures against knife violence following a deadly incident at a high school, where a student fatally injured one person and harmed four others. In the United States, former alleged members of a neo-Nazi group have asserted that their leader is an agent for Russia. This comes 20 days after The Guardian reported that a U.S. neo-Nazi group, led by someone based in Russia, has been advocating for targeted attacks on Ukraine.